concrete can be plain, simple, and not so exciting. In this video, if you stick with me to the end and watch with me, I'm going to show you how you can simply transform ordinary looking concrete into beautiful work of art like this, or like this, or like this. In fact, you have so many varieties to choose from. I'll be taking you through all the steps in this short tutorial. So just stick with me from now to the end of the video, and I'll show you how to do it like ABC from beginning until the end. If you're just coming to my channel for the first time, hit the subscribe button. It's on the lower portion of your screen, the right hand corner of your screen. Just hit the subscribe button so that you can continue to have access to tons of informational videos from me. Making stamped concrete floors can be as simple as ABC. Very simple, plain, and straightforward to do if you know what you're doing. So in this video, I'm going to take you through the steps on making wonderful stamped concrete surfaces that look as good as this, or like this, or like this. You really are not limited. You can have as much as 250 different patterns. You can have patterns that look like wood. You can have patterns that look like brick. You can have patterns that look like timber, that looks like animals. The patterns, stamp patterns, are too numerous to mention. Over 250 different patterns, but in this video, we're not going to be doing the entire 250 patterns. We're just going to be sticking with 1 or 2 patterns, and you'll see how it's being done. It's just a repetitive process. So what you do in one pattern is what you do in any other pattern you want to do. Just get the stamp mats, and you're good to go. So I told you making stamped concrete is as simple as ABC, so we're going to go to step A now, which is to place and spread the concrete. Before you begin to place the concrete and spread it, you need a foam. A foam is anything that will hold the concrete in place for it to cure and to dry properly, then it becomes solid. When pouring concrete, you know concrete is plastic in nature. It means it's like water. It takes any form you give it. So we are going to need to place a formwork that will hold the concrete in the shape and the manner with which we want, which is what we're doing now. You can get a carpenter, you work with a carpenter or anybody that knows how to work with wood very well to place the formwork. In my subsequent videos, I'll be showing you how to do formwork without the aid of a carpenter or any woodwork specialist. But this is what we're going to be doing in this video. Let me just go through the whole process for you to understand. You see the line? That line is to give a uniform or even finish. We're going to be mixing cement, sand, and granite stones to pour into this walkway. What we are trying to do is a walkway with 25 different colors, stamped concrete with different patterns on this walkway. We've done placing the formwork. Now we're going to go to where we have our color hardeners. I told you I'll use the Panicrete color hardeners and release agent. That's the 25 different color hardeners that I'll be using from SW01 to SW25 of the Panicrete product, with the Panicrete release agent in the white each bag. We are mixing the cement now. We'll mix the cement with sand, add a little water to make a slurry out of it. Now you pour the slurry into the formwork. You place the concrete in the formwork. Make sure that there are no voids underneath the formwork. Now, stamped concrete is a job that requires high level detailing. See the edges. We will be using what we call an edger to edge the edges to put a very sharp detail and to ensure that the formwork will come off after we are done. So we are going to be like separating the formwork from the concrete with the aid of the edger, and also give a very nice detail to our work, so that by the time we lose out the formwork, we still have very good looking edges to our concrete work that we are going to be doing. So we just spread the concrete all over the entire work area. You need to be careful to spread just as much as you can stamp and color per time. Don't pour concrete in the entire work area at once. You pour it in batches. If you notice, we are working in batches. We pause a batch, we'll finish the work on that batch, we'll do another batch, like that. You don't want to pour the entire concrete at once. You pour the concrete. If you are starting it for the first time, I suggest you do not more than 1 meter or very little work area so that you can control it. So just pour the concrete and spread it. Have an even surface and make sure the concrete is still wet. That will now take us to step B. Before we get to step B, This step A requires that the concrete still remains wet, just the way it is in the screen. Make sure it's still wet, but not with too much water or too little water. When you put your finger on the concrete, you should be able to make a dent, and the concrete should not stick to your finger. Then you know that that's the correct consistency you require. So now we're going back to step B, which is to color and stamp the concrete. In making stamped concrete, you must also be very careful about the color hardener you use, because the color hardener will determine the strength and how long the concrete will last. You will find out that in most cases you see some concrete that's supposed to last for a long time, the surface begins to wear out, begins to fade off, or begins to peel away. Usually the problem comes from the color hardener, using a faulty color hardener or bad color hardener. So to prevent that from happening, make sure that whatever color hardener you're using is reputable, is genuine. I have a host of color hardeners I could recommend, one of which is Brickform Colors, Solomon Colors, that's it on the screen. Another good one is Panicrete. This is Panicrete, and it looks very nice. This is how the bag comes in 25 kg bags, and the release agent, that's how it comes in. Now this are specially formulated color hardeners that hardens the surface of your concrete to prevent them from peeling off or fading away. If you don't use them and you go use poorly formulated color hardeners, or what most people regularly do, which is mixing pigments, red oxide, black oxide pigments with cement in order to get and call it color hardener, in that case you're going to be having issues with your stamped concrete over time. After a while it begins to fade, after a while it begins to peel off, and the surface is not as strong as it should be. So if you see most of all the stamped concrete jobs that have begun to peel off or fade off over time, this is the problem. The color hardener that was used, or what was used in place of the color hardener, was actually not a color hardener, it was just a mixture of color and cement. If you do that, the floors will fail, the floors will fade. So make sure you use reputable color hardeners from reputable manufacturers. I'll give you two examples you could use. You could use Brickform from Solomon Colors. You could use Panicrete from Panicrete Industries. There's a host of other reputable color hardeners depending on where you're watching me from. But in Africa, these two names I've given you are good to go. You could use them and go to sleep with them. Now, when you want to color the stamped concrete, you're going to be using the Panicrete color hardener or any other color hardener, reputable color hardener. I give you examples at the beginning part of the video that you could use. This is one of the colors we are going to be using, or we intend to use on this project. I told you we are going to be using 25 different colors, so you'll be seeing 25 different colors on this walkway when we are done. Now I'll just spread the color hardener either with my hand or with the aid of a sieve or anything. Just spread it evenly all over the work area. Then use a mason trowel. That's a Fresno trowel, a small Fresno trowel. You could use a bull float. There are other tools that you could use, but I'm trying to make it as simple as possible in this video, so I'm using regular tools that you can use. That's a Fresno trowel. You just use it to shine or to smoothen or trowel down the color hardener into the wet concrete. Trowel it down completely. Take very particular attention. Pay very particular attention to the edges. You want to make sure that the color hardener gets to every inch of the concrete and covers every part of it while it's still wet. Now, if you notice, there's this sprinkling of water. The reason why that is being done is because the concrete has begun to harden. The concrete is already getting hard already, and we don't want, if the concrete is hard, the color hardener will not bond properly to the concrete. So we are getting a little bit of wetness upon the concrete so that the color hardener can bind properly with the fresh concrete. You wouldn't need to do this if your concrete is still plastic and wet, but when the concrete begins to harden to a level, to remedy it, then we can sprinkle a little bit of clean water mixed with raw cement. Clean water with raw cement. Just sprinkle it a little on the work area, then spray your color hardener on it. Now the color hardener does two things. Number one, it hardens the surface of the concrete as well as gives color to the concrete. So those are the two things it does. It's not the same with the regular pigment that just colors the concrete and fades or peels off after some time. So that's what we're doing now. Just sprinkle the color hardener, rub it in, sprinkle the color hardener, rub it in. You can do any color you want on your concrete, is the color of the color hardener you will be getting. So when placing your order for your color hardener, You need to make sure that you get the color that your client wants or that you want to do on your project. Get that color. There are 25 different colors. I'll put a link in the description of this video. If in case you need to place order for your color hardener, I'll put a link to where you can get them, or someone that can get them across to you or give you information on how to get them in your region or wherever you are. Now, one thing you notice is this is a color hardener. It's not raw cement. This is a color hardener. You notice it's like grayish. It's grayish like a regular cement, but it's not. One thing you'll notice is that when applying a color hardener, there is a uniform color all over the concrete. There's no speckled dust or anything. That's one way to know a very good color hardener. When you spread a good color hardener, you have a very uniform color before you begin to place the release. Now, the release agent comes in various modes. There's the antique release agent that is blackish. That one is usually more expensive. Then there's this whitish one. This one is grayish, sorry, not extremely white. It's gray in color. And the characteristic of the release is that it easily washes off. Now we'll sprinkle it over the mat first. This is a stamp mat. The stamp mat is responsible for the patterns you'll be seeing on the concrete. So we sprinkle over the stamp mat first with the mason's brush or a painter's brush. Just make sure you cover every inch of your stamp mat with the release agent. It's powdered, or it's powdered form. And cover your work area also with the release agent. At this point, your work area would be the color of your release agent. Don't worry about that. By the time we get to the washing aspect of the video, you will see how we will get the release agent completely off. You see the technique we use in getting this release agent completely off to reveal our color that's in the color hardener. So just stamp your concrete now. When you're done coloring, you stamp your concrete. Just place the stamp over the concrete and give a little bit of pressure on the stamp so that the print on the stamp will be left on the freshly poured concrete that is still plastic. Once it takes that form, it becomes a permanent feature of that concrete when it hardens. So you want to make sure that the prints are legible and that you're using a very good stamp mat that has sharp and fine details to stamp, and you want to apply enough pressure. To do that, we'll need something called a tamper. He will bring a tamper along now, because your weight sometimes alone will not be able to create legible prints on your freshly poured concrete, particularly when the concrete begins to harden. So in that case, you'll be needing what is holding now. That's called a tamper. A tamper. Don't use too much force. Just lightly tamp or hit the stamp mat so that the prints become a permanent part of the floor. You see, he's paying attention to the edges. The other areas that were not covered by the stamp mat, he's going back there to stamp it. So you don't leave any area uncovered by or without patterns. Every area is supposed to be patterned. You pay very good attention. Stamp concrete is a job that requires attention to detail, because one little mistake or one little omission of any part on the concrete, it dries, it becomes a permanent feature of that concrete. So you want to pay particular attention to the edges and make sure that you cover every inch of your concrete with the patterns, with the color, and with the release agent. Now you notice that in the course of the concrete, some areas are lifting off. I'll show you how we will correct that in the course of this video. When we get to that point, just pay close attention. I'll show you how to correct all those areas that are lifting up. So stamp concrete is basically a repetitive process per se. All you need to do is just go over the process, the step A, B, C that you are going to be watching in this video as many times as you need to. Like I told you, you do it in chunk. You don't do an entire stretch at once. You do a little portion, you finish that portion, you go ahead to do the next portion. Then you increase the portions you're doing based on your capacity and the people working with you. If you have more hands working with you, assisting you on your project, you can do a larger stretch. But for first timers or for your first time on the project, I suggest you do a little chunk first, get a hang of it before you go ahead to do larger areas. Now, this is another color we're doing again. I told you we're going to be doing 25 different colors on this walkway. It's going to be amazing. When you see the finished work, you'll be amazed, you'll be shocked, you'll be surprised. So Just stay tuned and watch how we are going to achieve that 25 different colors that we desire. You notice that we are using a longer wood or a range to get an even surface and to cut our colors sharply. The reason why we are doing that is that we want a sharp divide between where one color ends and another color begins. We don't want the colors mixing up or joining up with each other. So we are giving a separate border kind of between each color. So where color pink ends now, for example, and green is starting, you see the sharp contrast, or you see the border sharply showing the difference between this is where pink ends and this is where green starts or red starts, and like that. So that goes, we're just going to repeat the process. Now, when using the color hardener, sometimes I advise, or most times I advise, that you wear a nose mask or you pour your color hardener away from the wind. If the wind is blowing towards you, you want to pour your color hardener in a manner that it blows away from you, so that the dust doesn't get carried into your nostrils. So just spread your color hardener. You saw that it did it with the aid of a sieve. A sieve is something you can get in every departmental store, and that's the Fresno trowel. The Fresno trowel is used to spread your color hardener, while there's a magnesium trowel that is used to spread your concrete. What the Fresno trowel does is that it closes the pores on the concrete. All the holes on the concrete are closed, so it becomes impermeable, as it will be ordinarily with the magnesium trowel. The magnesium trowel is what's used to spread the concrete. The Fresno trowel is used to spread the color hardener. So you know the difference between the two tools, or both tools. One is used to spread the concrete without the color hardener. The other is used to spread the concrete when the color hardener is added. The Fresno trowel is used when the color hardener has been added or sprayed onto the concrete. That's the Fresno trowel is using. Just make sure every inch of your concrete is covered. Cover every inch with your color hardener. You can spray it again and again until you get every inch of your concrete covered and you are certain that everywhere is covered. Then you spray your release. And this is another pattern of stamp mat we are using. Just as we are changing the colors, we are also changing stamp patterns. You'll see that we can actually do whatever pattern you want. You can do patterns of flowers, patterns of animals, patterns of tiles. You can mimic any surface you want with stamped concrete. That's one beauty about it. I can mimic any surface I want as long as I have the mat handy. Now, what I'm doing now is I'm touching up the areas that are lifting up. I can do that with the aid of a touch-up wheel or a touch-up roller that has release spread over it. The touch-up wheel is a roller that has a matte pattern on it. So that touch-up wheel can be used, or I can use a regular paint roller with the release agent on it if I don't have a touch-up wheel. That's a easy way to touch up the areas there the concrete lifts off, or where the concrete separates. Just touch up and make sure you have every inch adequately covered. We're going to just make sure that every inch, we are taking our time, because you need to take your time when it comes to stamp concrete. It's not a hush-hush kind of job where you just quickly run and then finish up. You have to take attention, you have to pay attention, and you have to take your time to ensure that every inch of your floor is covered. So you see that he's going back again to spread the color hardener over the areas that have been exposed, or where you can see cement color, the gray color of cement. Is going back over it again to spray more color hardener to ensure that every inch of the concrete is adequately covered with the color hardener, because any spot you leave that has the concrete can be a weak spot over which the stamped concrete begins to fail or peel off or lift off after some time. So you must make sure that the stamped concrete is evenly covered with the color hardener, and it has a velvet-like finish when you are done. There has to be that velvet-like finish when you are done. I'll show you what the velvet-like finish is going to look like. So you will see when we're done doing a large portion. I'll show you how the velvet feel. Looks like a leather. That's the kind of finish you want to have over your professional stamped concrete. Any area that is not properly finished can be the point through which the floor will tear later on, will lift off later on, or will fade later on. So pay attention to detail. I'm not rushing it, and I want you to know that when it's your turn, don't rush it. There's no need to be in a hurry. That's why I said do a small chunk at a time, so that you can take your time and attend to the details, get the details right. Because the big difference between a professional and a quack is in the details. So if you don't get the details right, you will pass off as a quack or a non-professional, and we don't want that. So this is another color hardener again, a different color. I told you we're going to be doing 25 different colors. This is the green color. If green is your thing, then this is for you. You just get your green color hardener, spread it all over. We are still in the B section of the stamp concrete ABC step to do stamp concrete. Still in the B section, which is to color and stamp your concrete. We've been doing a lot of coloring because the coloring is actually where most of the work lies in. The beauty of your concrete, the durability of your concrete all lies in this phase, the coloring phase. The quality of the material you use in coloring your concrete, and the attention you pay to details when coloring your concrete. So you see, we've done about 4 or 5 different colors at once or in a stretch, and we are still going to go over them again to ensure that we cover every inch with the color hardener. When we rub it in, we spray again, we rub it in, we spray again to have a very, very even coverage. Coverage must be even. One bag of color hardener covers about 20 square meters. Yeah, 20 square meters, 15 square meters, depending on your spread rate. Now see the velvet look of the floor. This is how you want your floors to look before you add your release agent or before you spread your release agent. You want to make sure your floor looks like that. You see how smooth it is? Exactly. That's how you want your floors to look like before you begin to add your release agent. Add your release agent, spread your release agent. You don't get in contact with your release agent, with your stamp floor, until your release agent has been spread evenly over the floor and over the stamp mat. Once you spread the release agent evenly over the floor and over the stamp mat, then you're good to go. You can now start the stamping process. The stamping process is basically simple. You align the stamp mats together. You need a minimum of 2 pieces of mats, particularly when you're working in a larger area. You can get as many as possible. You can get up to 20 pieces, 30 pieces, depending on the area you intend to cover, but a minimum of 2 pieces. Because you're going to interlock the mats. It's a repetitive pattern. You see there's one, he's standing, one leg is on one and the other leg is on another. Now he has to lift off that one straight. You see, there's no shaking. He lifts the stamp mat at once. There's no room for second thoughts. There's no room to drag the stamp mat over the concrete. Otherwise, you'll be marking the concrete and damaging it. You just lift off the stamp mat at once, over and away from the concrete. Place it on the next area that is not covered. Apply pressure on it. Lift the previous one. Move to the next area. Apply pressure on it. Lift the previous one. Move to the next area, apply pressure on it, lift the previous one, move to the next area, apply pressure on it. Like that. It's just a repetitive process. You just keep repeating the process until you have evenly covered all the areas where you have added release agents to. You see, this mat is so big, we need 2 people to carry it. So sometimes you get in contact with mats that are that large, and one person can carry it alone. Then you need to align it properly and drop it at once. There's no room to shake it. You drop it at once. Once you're sure and everybody agrees and just lifts it down, you see them drop it, go. They drop it, then they begin to apply pressure on it, they tamp it. Most times you might need to come back the next day to finish a job. The reason why they are standing on the previously finished concrete is because it's the day after. So the previous concrete has cured already. That's why they can stand on it. If it's a same day job, you can't stand on it. So that takes us to step C, to clean and polish the stamped concrete. To clean and polish the stamped concrete, you just need water and detergent. I know some people usually use acid. Please don't. That's a bad project. That's a bad job. You are going to weaken the concrete, and the color hardener will not last as long as it's supposed to last before it begins to fade. Do not use acid in cleaning your floors. You either use a pressure washer and detergent, or you use a brush. For you to see the quality of the color hardener, you see we are brushing the floor. It's not washing off. It's not fading off. It's not coming off. That's the quality of a good color hardener. That's how you know a good color hardener. You see, we are brushing it. He's applying pressure on it with the brush. It won't come off. It's permanent. That's a quality color hardener. So that's one rule of test you need to know on the quality of the color hardener that you're using. After you finish washing, you allow the concrete to dry. Then you bring what we call a concrete sealer. The concrete sealer I'm using in this case is acrylic. It's acrylic in nature, and it gives a shine, a very deep shine. If you want no shine on your floor, you can use the matte. The matte concrete sealer doesn't shine. You can use that if you don't want shine on your floor. But I like the shine a lot, so I prefer, or I like using the acrylic concrete sealer. This is made by Frangipani, and it's just, you get your painter's brush or your painter's roller, you open your sealer, you dip your roller into the bucket and begin to apply. It is transparent and clear. So regardless of the color you use, you are going to be using the same color and the same sealer to seal your concrete surface. Just simple process. Dip your roller into the sealer and just roll it all over it, like that. You must be sure not to step on the sealer when it is freshly coated. Be sure not to step on the sealer when it's freshly coated. You want to make sure that it is completely cured. Usually within a period of 48 hours, it's completely cured before you come step on it, or before you can walk over it, drive over it, or do whatever it is you want to do. So we are done. The floors are drying now. This is the entire sealed floor area. You can see the colors: green, blue, black. Oh, there's no blue there. Yellow, pink, brown, green, different colors like that. Yellow, black, which is my favorite color. And some of the colors are a lighter shade than the others. Pink is another of my favorite color, but don't let anybody hear that anyway. Okay, so we're done with the sealing process, and that's it. We're done. See how wonderful our walkway looks. No, I'm going back to the job several months later for you to see how it's going to look like. This is after several months. We finished the job. People have started using the walkway. Pedestrian traffic. It's a heavy traffic area. Look how the floors are still intact. That's to tell you that when you do stamped concrete with a quality color hardener, it can last you for years. These floors are still looking as good as they are now, even years after. All you need to do is to clean it with water and soap, and you're good to go. If you know what you're doing, stamped concrete is a very lucrative profession, and it's such that you can make tons of money from it legitimately. I've been able to make a lot of money from it, and I'm also sharing my knowledge so that you can also benefit, and a host of other people can also benefit from making stamped concrete as a career. Very simple, straightforward, easy to do. And to learn more about stamped concrete, I have an online school, fdmlearn.com. You can enroll on fdmlearn.com, sign up and enroll. I'll teach you everything you need to know about stamped concrete, decorative concrete, 3D, epoxy, and whatever thing you want to learn. So I'll see you on my online school, and thank you for watching, and share the videos with your friends, share the videos with those you love, and I'll see you some other time. Bye bye for now.